to the Midnight Who Show, and the second series of Ninth Doctor audios from Big Finish continue with Into the Stars. Yes, we got back to Earth, and now we're going into the space. I think that's really kind of cool. I kind of think I mentioned that in my last review, so I'm really excited that Big Finish has given us a box set with space-based stories featuring Christopher Eccleston's Ninth Doctor. And the three stories in this box set are Salvation 9, Last of the Zektacine, and Break the Ice. Now, the first story, I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a great start to the box set, and I really like the idea of having these different types of Sontarans. And you can really see kind of the shock on the Doctor's face because he's like, you're Sontarans, you're not acting like them. And it kind of really kind of explores a very interesting idea about, evolution within the Sontaran race, which I think is just a fascinating idea. And the story has such a phenomenal guest cast in it, and it just made for a phenomenal listening experience. And some of these Sontarans, they added so many different personalities with this colony of Sontarans on this planet. But yeah, excellent start to this box set. And I just think we've had so many Sontaran stories. It was really nice change of pace. And it really shows what you can do with the Sontarans. And I also will mention, as in all three of these stories, Christopher Eccleston is phenomenal. He's really, I just feel at this point, he's just back as the Doctor. His performance is only getting stronger and stronger. He just is like, it's so amazing that we have more adventures with him as the Doctor. Second story, unfortunately, it just didn't work for me. I still think it was a pretty okay story. It just, I don't know, there's like these guest characters in the story. It was just not working for me. I was having a hard time listening to this one. I tried listening to it a couple times, and the second listening, I actually still think I enjoyed it just a little bit more. I still think there's a lot of interesting things to explore on this story. I really like the idea of just kind of exploring this kind of Station 3. It's a very interesting world, and the writer definitely developed a lot of interesting aspects with this story that did make for an okay listening experience, but it's not one that I would jump back to and listen again. And it's probably simply because it's kind of sandwiched between two stories that I really enjoyed. And that does happen a lot with these box sets. Sometimes one story just doesn't kind of click because it's just in between a lot of the other stronger stories. I'll say one cool aspect of this story was one of the guest characters was played by Maureen O'Brien, who played classic series companion Vicky. So it was really cool to see Big Finish bring her into the story in a completely different role. Third story. Wow. This and the Sontaran one, it's hard for me to tell you guys which is my favorite. Really like the idea of a writer mixing Jack Frost and adding it to a Doctor Who sci-fi story. That was a phenomenal idea. It's much with like what they did with the Eighth Doctors and Krampus in that audio with the Eighth Doctor. But yeah, this was a very wintry story with some great Christmassy sci-fi elements. I absolutely enjoyed it. And it was just a very interesting setting, very, cryogenics, interesting exploration, this human colony space station, so many interesting things in it. And honestly, the guest cast in the story were pretty phenomenal, and I did really enjoy listening to it. It's also really great to have a Christmas story featuring the Ninth Doctor because he never got one in television. So we finally got one, and we even got a New Year's special with the last one. Second volume of the second series from Big Finish continues on with some really strong performances, some really enjoyable, entertaining stories that really fill that hour really well. I don't really feel that any of these felt too rushed. They explore some really interesting ideas, and it definitely made for a really enjoyable listen. And if you haven't listened to this one yet, I definitely recommend it because I think you're going to have a blast listening to this. And if you have listened to this story, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.